Mr. Wallen was soon to be holding a debate on the ethics of eating animals, titled "Should Animals Be Off the Menu?" here in the city of Melbourne. This could potentially be the largest of these debates we've held, and we plan to pack the auditorium with hundreds of interested individuals. This email is our invitation for you to speak on the side of the affirmative. Could you write something and come read it for the debate? No need to go overboard or anything. One of your rivals is the chef. Just throw something together. Are you interested? G'day mate, the Wheeler Centre. The following is a bastardised, edited version of a debate from 2012 that you can still go watch on YouTube. I just found the juxtaposition between the seriousness with which two of the speakers were taking the topic outrageous, hence making this video. I hope you enjoy watching.
Now, the form of tonight's debate is as outlined in the order paper. The topic is that animals should be off the menu. And it's now my intention to introduce each of our speakers. Philip Wallen. Today he devotes his life to children, animals, the environment, the terminally ill, the homeless and the arts. He supports over 500 humanitarian projects in over 40 countries with schools, orphanages, shelters, sanctuaries, clinics and scholarships. And he's received the Order of Australia and in 2007 was Australian of the Year in Victoria. Adrian Richardson, head chef at Melbourne's La Luna Bistro and a co-host of 10's Good Chef, Bad Chef television program. Growing up in a household with a melange of North African, Middle Eastern and Italian cuisine, Richardson's heritage definitely helps explain his enthusiasm for quality food that's packed with flavour. What his heritage doesn't help explain is his interest in all things blood and guts.
King Lear, late at night on the cliffs, asks the blind Earl of Gloucester, "How do you see the world?" And the blind man Gloucester replies, "I see it feelingly. And shouldn't we all? Animals must be off the menu because tonight they are screaming in terror in the slaughterhouses, in crates and in cages. Vile, ignoble gulags of despair."
Thank you very much. I love meat.
You see, I heard the screams of my dying father as his body was ravaged by the cancer that killed him. And I realized I'd heard those screams before. In the slaughterhouse, their eyes stabbed out and their tendons slashed, on the cattle ships to the Middle East, and the dying mother wail as a harpoon explodes in her brain as she calls out to her calf. Their cries were the cries of my father. And I discovered that when we suffer as equals. And in their capacity to suffer, a dog is a pig, is a bear, is a boy.
I love cooking meat, I love eating meat, and I love serving meat to other people.
Meat today is the new asbestos, more murderous than tobacco. CO2, methane and nitrous oxide from the livestock industry are killing our oceans with acidic, hypoxic dead zones. 90% of small fish are ground up into pellets to feed to livestock. Vegetarian cows today are the world's largest ocean predators. The oceans are dying in our time. By 2048, all our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and the arteries of the earth. Billions of bouncy little chicks are ground up alive simply because they are male. Only 100 billion people have ever lived. 7 billion people live today. And yet we torture and kill 2 billion sentient living beings every week.
If it's got a pulse, I can cook it. And there are plenty of people here tonight that have eaten my moist, juicy, tender beef.
10,000 entire species are wiped out every year because of the actions of one. And we're now facing the 6th mass extinction in cosmological history. If any other organism did this, a biologist would call them a virus. It is a crime against humanity of unimaginable proportions.
You could always pop down to my restaurant, La Luna Bistro. Just tell them Adrian sent you.
Victor Hugo said there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. Well, animal rights today is now the greatest social justice issue since the abolition of slavery.
Well, we did an audience survey earlier on tonight, and the results showed that 78% of the people here tonight have eaten meat in the last 6 months. So I think that I can speak for the majority of people here that it'll be over our cold, dead bodies if you take meat or animals off the menu. It would be un-Australian.
Do you know there are over 600 million vegetarians in this world? And that is bigger than the United States, England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all put together. If we were one nation, we would be bigger than the 27 nations of the European Union. Can you believe that? And despite this massive demographic footprint, we are still drowned out by the raucous hunt and shoot and killing cartels who believe that violence is the answer when it should not even be a question. Meat kills animals, kills us, and is killing our economies.
We are meat eaters, carnivores. We are so close to our mammoth hunting, savage ancestors that it's not funny. It's in our nature, it's natural. Imagine the days of roasting wild boar over hot coals underneath the stars.
Medicare has already bankrupted the United States. They will need $8 trillion invested in Treasury bills just to pay the interest, and they have precisely zero. They could shut down every school, Army, Navy, Air Force, Homeland Security, Marines, CIA, and FBI, and they still will not have the money to pay their doctor bills. And our Cornell and Harvard say that the optimum amount of meat in a healthy human diet is precisely zero. Water, as you know, is the new oil. Nations will soon be going to war for it. Underground aquifers that took millions of years to fill are now running dry. It takes 50,000 liters of precious drinking water to make 1 kilo of beef. Today, 1 billion people are hungry. 20 million people will die from malnutrition. Cutting meat by only 10% will feed 100 million people, and eliminating meat will end starvation forever. If everyone ate a Western diet, we would need 2 planet Earths to feed us. We've only got one, and she is dying.
Now for the other 22%, the vegetarians, the non-meat eaters, and their friends, the vegans. I can see you almost bracing yourself, thinking I'm going to take a swipe. Well, that's not happening tonight. I have a confession to make in front of all of you. I'm actually half vegetarian. Well, half of my family are vegetarian, Dad's side.
Greenhouse gas emissions from livestock is 50% greater than transport, as Peter said. Cars, trains, buses, ships, lorries, the whole lot. And as I travel around the world, I see poor countries who sell their grain to the West while their own children starve in their arms. And the West feeds it to livestock so we can eat a steak? Am I the only one who sees this as a crime? Believe me, every morsel of meat we eat is slapping the tear-stained face of a hungry child. When I look into her eyes, do I remain silent? The earth can produce enough food for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. We are facing the perfect storm. If any nation had developed weapons that could wreak such havoc on the planet, we would launch a preemptive military strike and bomb it back into the Bronze Age. But it's not a rogue state, it's an industry. The good news is we don't have to bomb it. We can just stop buying it.
Now I'll just clarify my half-vegetarian bit. For the first 2.5 years, I was a vegetarian. That was Dad's choice. I didn't eat any meat. But that all ended one Sunday afternoon. I was sitting on my grandmother's knee, my nonna, my Italian part of the family. They ate meat, and a chicken wing magically appeared. I suspect a little foul play was at hand, but that chicken wing was devoured. It was devoured so much that the bones crumbled in my hands. And you know what? I made the choice from then on. I would eat meat, I would enjoy meat, and I would have respect for the meat.
The axis of evil does not run through Iraq, Iran, or North Korea. It runs through our dining tables. Weapons of mass destruction are our knives and forks. Our proposition is the Swiss Army knife of the future. It solves our environmental, water, human health problems and ends cruelty forever. The Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. This cruel, disgusting industry will end because we run out of excuses. Meat is like the 1 and 2 cent coins. It costs more to make than it's worth.
Go to your local butcher. Remember them? I'm sure there's a few ladies here that do. Your local butcher will listen to you. Tell him, I want Victorian grass-fed beef, free-range pork from Fiona, free-range chicken, and Australian lamb. We know what the Kiwis do to theirs.
Animals are not just other species, they are other nations, and we murder them at our peril. The peace map is drawn on a menu. Peace is not just the absence of war, it is the presence of justice. Justice must be blind to race, color, religion, or species. If she's not blind, she will be a weapon of terror. And tonight, there is unimaginable terror in those ghastly Guantanamos we call factory farms or slaughterhouses.
Believe me, a happy animal tastes so much better. And I know because that's what I use at home and in my restaurant. La Luna Bistro, if you didn't get it before. Buy Fiona's pork. We know her pigs are cared for from birth up until that last second. And I think if an animal has lived a good life wandering the fields, eating green grass and nibbling on daisies and drinking streams in the sunshine, as long as the death is fast and painless, I don't have a problem with killing animals. It's a natural thing to me, and I've killed a few.
Believe me, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, we wouldn't be having this debate tonight. You see, I believe another world is possible. And on a quiet night, I can hear her breathing. Let's get animals off the menu and out of these torture chambers. Please vote tonight for those who have no voice. Thank you.
We know eating meat has an impact on the environment. Everything we do has an impact. So if we're eating less meat and using humanely reared, sustainably produced meat, and the queasy meat eaters have switched to their fun bacon, don't you think that we're doing our bit to reducing the negative impact? For anyone to tell me that animals should be off the menu, I think is ridiculous. I think if we make the right choice, and that's what this whole debate comes down to, don't you think we can all enjoy a tender, juicy, grass-fed steak every now and again? Remember one thing, and this is the thing I want you to go home with tonight. Eat meat responsibly. Thank you very much.
At the end of the debate, the undecided has reduced to 6.9%. The against side has declined to 19.3%, which means it's been won with a whopping margin of 73.6% by the affirmative.